Hello, good evening. Welcome to ITV News and Friday night's calendar.
Hello, thank you for joining us, and here are tonight's main stories.
The family of a teenage soldier who took her own life after being sexually assaulted by a superior says she was failed by the army.
Jaisley should have been believed, and it would have been her sat in the courtroom watching that person who sexually assaulted her be sentenced. And we would have been right beside her.
Well, there we go. I don't really feel it coming. It just kind of happens, if you get what I mean. Like, I'll just sit there and then I'll just do it.
Educating Yorkshire about Tourette's, how this Dewsbury schoolgirl says more support and understanding is needed.
Daring to dream, we're with the part-timers of Gainsborough Trinity as they aim to cause an FA Cup upset.
And I've been out of the elements today against the autumn hues as the colour and season continues to change. But I've got an amazing vista to show you later on. You're not going to want to miss this week's Seat with a View.
But first, an army officer has been jailed after admitting he sexually assaulted a teenage soldier from Bradford who, 5 months later, went on to take her own life.
An inquest previously found that the attack on a training exercise and the Army's failure to protect 19-year-old Jaisley Beck from another senior officer had contributed to her death.
Today, Jaisley's attacker, Michael Webber, was jailed for 6 months while the Army apologised, saying it should have done so much more. Richard Slee sent us this from Larkhill Barracks in Wiltshire.
This was another emotional day for the family of Jaisley Beck, who took her own life at these barracks after what has been described as an intense period of unwelcome behaviour from some male colleagues. Jaisley's mother, father and friends arrived at the military court to see ex-warrant officer Michael Webber sentenced for the sexual assault of Jaisley, which happened when they were both attending a training exercise at Thorney Island in Hampshire 4 years ago. The court heard that very late on the night of the 12th of July, Jaisley and Webber were the last people left in a bar, and that Webber had tried to kiss Jaisley and had pinned her down and put his hand between her legs. This had frightened Jaisley so much that she hid in the toilets and later slept in her car rather than return to her room. Today, Jaisley's mum paid tribute to her daughter.
Jaisley was just 19, a beautiful, bright, confident girl with a whole life ahead of her. She did everything right, but was failed by the system that was meant to support and protect her.
The Army has since accepted that the way they dealt with the original complaint by asking Webber to write a letter of apology to Jaisley was not appropriate. Jaisley told her family she was upset to learn later that Webber had been promoted to Warrant Officer 1. She said, "I got a letter, he got a promotion." At the inquest into Jaisley's death earlier this year, the coroner said that the sexual assault by Webber, along with the later obsession with Jaisley by another senior soldier, Bombardier Ryan Mason, had contributed to her taking her own life. The coroner also criticised the way the Army failed to adequately deal with Jaisley's complaints. Today, the Army repeated their apology and assurance that lessons had been learned.
We are sorry we didn't listen to Jaisley when she first reported her assault. Since Jaisley's death, we have introduced a significant cultural reform programme alongside the Raising Our Standards programme.
Sentencing Webber to 6 months and loss of rank, Judge Large told him that his actions were an abuse of trust and they had an adverse effect on the reputation of the armed forces. Webber will serve his sentence in a civilian prison. Richard Slee, ITV News, Larkhill.
Well, while today's sentence marked the end of legal proceeding for Jaisley's family, it was only a step towards the changes they want to see to stop her tragic story being repeated.
Jaisley's mum spoke with Fiona Marley-Patterson about her funny, smart, kind and caring daughter who was born and raised in Bradford, a daughter whose voice had been ignored.
After 4 years, someone has been held accountable for what happened to Leanne Macready's daughter, Jaisley Beck. And yet, it doesn't feel like justice, much less victory.
Jaisley should have been believed, and it would have been her sat in the courtroom and watching that person who sexually assaulted her be sentenced. And we would have been right beside her. I still don't feel justice is served, but yeah, it goes back to our daughter were telling the truth. She reported it and basically said, Jaisley, you don't want to be known as a female troublemaker. That's when Jaisley said, I get a letter of apology, Mum, and he gets promoted.
The inquest into her death heard Jaisley then faced a separate incident of harassment from another officer. Her mum says she then felt she had nowhere to turn.
Again, we encouraged her to report this, and she said, Mum, it's not going to get me anywhere. She said, look what happened the first time.
And yet the inquest heard from other female soldiers who described violent, degrading behaviours by men in the army. It found women were disproportionately experiencing bullying, harassment and discrimination. And you've been contacted by other women saying this wasn't just Jaisley.
It's still happening daily, and this is why changes need to be made. I've lost our daughter. She's not here now, and this is because the army was marking their own homework. It needs to be people from outside of the military to investigate serious offences.
Well, after the inquest, the army apologised and said it should have done more to support and protect Jaisley. It says there's been significant changes in the army with a zero-tolerance policy to unacceptable sexual behaviour, and it hopes others will now have the confidence that they can report it and they will be listened to.
The zero tolerance, that's been in place for lots of years. It's just empty words. Jaisley would still be here if they followed up their words, that if they actioned it, Jaisley would still be here. But they failed her. I hope Jaisley's voice now is going to make a difference, but until it does, we will continue raising Jaisley's voice higher and higher until real change and real action is taken. That Jaisley's short life will make a difference to others. Just everything that you'd ever want in a child, Jaisley had. Funny, smart, kind, caring, smiling, happy, always singing. I just wish that the army had believed her and she would have still been here.
And we're grateful to Leanne McCready for talking to ITV News. In other news tonight, a man and woman have been jailed after plotting to smuggle drugs and phones into a Doncaster prison using drones. Jade Brannan and Ricky Smith both pleaded guilty to conspiring to smuggle the items into HMP Lindholme. The pair were caught after a prison officer found a drone dropping a package in the shape of a juice carton into the grounds in June 2022. Smith received a 3-year sentence and Brennan was given 2 years and 3 months.
A man from Leeds who hit speeds of more than 130 miles an hour while racing another car has been given a 16-week suspended jail sentence and banned for 2 years.
125, 130.
Robert Kelly was clocked by an unmarked police car on a dual carriageway in Cheshire last Thursday. After being pulled over, it transpired he was already on bail not to engage in car meets or antisocial driving.
A 13-year-old girl from Dewsbury in West Yorkshire has spoken out about her debilitating Tourette's syndrome because she wants people to know more about the condition. Amy appeared on the fly-on-the-wall documentary Educating Yorkshire, and viewers saw how she deals with her illness at school.
But Amy's family says there's a lack of specialist care for children like her, particularly in the north of England, and she's on a long waiting list to even get properly diagnosed. Katie Oscroft reports.
When I think of school, I mainly think I don't want to go.
Amy's Tourette's means she often can't even attend school, but she wanted to tell millions of television viewers how this neurological condition affects her.
I don't really feel it coming, it just kind of happens, if you get what I mean. Like, I'll just sit there and then I'll just do it. Some days I'll be like, fine, I'll be sort of confident, I'll be like, you know what, I can do this. Some other days I'll just want to lay in bed and disintegrate. Well, there we go.
Myself and her dad both work.
Amy's family were reluctant at first to put her in the spotlight, but she was determined to appear. Did you want people to see what it's like to be you?
At the start of it, they asked me, do you want your Tourette's shown? And I don't want it shown like all the time, but I still do want people to acknowledge that it is a thing and people just don't, make noises for no reason.
You got a drink?
Whilst half-term is a break from lessons, there's no respite from the medication Amy has to take to keep her condition at bay, whilst she waits and waits to see a specialist.
No matter what I do, how many times I phone, they just say that she's just got to wait, and that's it, even though these doctors are saying she really needs to be seen.
When you've got a child in distress and struggling, and she's not the only one.
The Department of Health and Social Care said, we are committed to supporting those living with Tourette's syndrome and other tic disorders and are working to stamp out the stark health inequalities that exist for conditions like Tourette's, because quality of care should never be determined by where you live. And support groups say whilst people like Amy wait, they often get worse.
We'll have families where the children's been bounced around services for months and months, not getting any further along. And what ends up happening in the end is the child ends up suffering from anxiety or isolation.
These tics have been really bad.
Amy wants her experience on educating Yorkshire to enable people to talk about Tourette's.
And I feel like a lot of people, like even some mates or people that I know didn't even know what it was.
Are you all ready for back to school?
No.
Her family also want dedicated support and treatment for all those who are suffering. Katie Oscroft, ITV News, Dewsbury.
Isn't she doing an amazing job of raising awareness?
Definitely, yeah, great to talk about it and fantastic to see her on calendar tonight.
Well, still to come on Friday's calendar. Rolling out the barrel, we're with the Yorkshire fundraisers who've run the entire length of Britain with this 1-ton gun.
And we'll be joining Kerry at the beautiful Clumber Park as she makes room for us on an autumnal seat with a view. Well, we've seen some heavy rainfall in the region over recent days, and now motorists are being warned about the dangers of driving through floodwater.
It's a growing problem, with the number of people left stranded in vehicles doubling over the last 3 years. That's according to the AA.
And Yorkshire's fire services say drivers taking that risk aren't not only putting their vehicles in jeopardy, but also their lives. Cara Digby can tell us more.
With flood risk increasing, so too now is the number of people being rescued from vehicles caught in dangerous floods, twice the rate since before the coronavirus pandemic. South Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service is among those being called out more to help stranded drivers.
I think the main dangers are people underestimate how deep the water. It might look quite shallow, but when you go into it, it's quite deep, and then the vehicles can break down in the water. And unfortunately, 30 centimetres or a foot of water is enough water to float a vehicle away. So it's not that much water and your vehicle can float away.
It's not just firefighters that are dealing with drivers getting caught out. In the last 12 months, the AA responded to more than 1,200 call-outs of vehicles affected by floodwater. 325 were vehicles that were completely stuck, while more than 900 of those were dealing with problems after a vehicle had driven through floodwater. Tony Rich from the AA says drivers are too often making snap decisions, choosing to drive through floodwater rather than find another way around.
If water enters the inside of the vehicle, it's likely to end up in a written off or an insurance write-off. But the water's sucked into the inside of the engine, it's almost alwast terminal, and that can lead to a bill of thousands of pounds. Because of the rise in these incidents, councils are putting up extra signs, but is it enough? Maybe not. Maybe we need more signs and we need more education for drivers, just so we can get the message across just how dangerous it is if you drive through floodwater.
According to the Environment Agency, around a third of all roads are in areas at risk from flooding. With the effects of climate change, This is estimated to rise to 46% by the mid-century.
Unfortunately, with climate change, we know that storms are going to become more infrequent and more intense over time, and that means we need people to be prepared.
When it comes to safety on the roads, drivers educating themselves on what to do during a flood is essential, so that they aren't putting their vehicles at risk and, more importantly, their own safety. Cara Digby, ITV News.
Time for some sport now, and Arif's here. Arif, the feel-good factor at Sheffield Wednesday is going from strength to strength, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is, Amelia. What a difference a week makes as Sheffield Wednesday fans continue to rally behind the club, who are in administration. They've raised over £60,000 overnight to help with running costs. The Supporters Trust have £50,000 ready to donate to help pay off debts the club is facing. The Owls Talk Forum raised over £10,000 in an hour last night. That money will be used to help fund overnight stays for Wednesday's away game with Blackburn in December.
It's an incredible response to what is a very worrying situation. The idea is to raise as much money and carry on raising as much money as possible to help the administrators meet all the requirements for to come out of the administration process and give the new owners as clear a run as is humanly possible.
Now it's the FA Cup first round this weekend and the chance for non-league sides to put themselves in the limelight. One team we're focusing on is Gainsborough Trinity. They play in the 7th tier of English football and are our lowest ranked team in the competition. They're also part-time, so all their players have full-time jobs. I spent the day with captain Bobby Johnson ahead of their first round tie with Accrington Stanley.
Well in, Josh. Good lad.
Bobby Johnson's life is surrounded by sport. It's his job to organise sessions like these, providing fun activities for kids in his home city of Doncaster.
It's very rewarding. I love, what I do, and love getting out and seeing the kids. The smiles on their faces and enjoying it, and knowing that how much that this can impact them later in life is brilliant.
These sessions are much more than just running around. It's a safe place for kids to grow, offer opportunities, and have a nutritious meal.
We know that Doncaster, it's no secret that it's an area that has high areas of deprivation. So what we're able to do at Doncaster Council is to ensure that those who may be facing a bit of deprivation do have access to the opportunities that their more affluent peers ordinarily would do. And providing a healthy meal as part of that is fantastic.
When he's not organising sessions, he's putting on the boots himself. Bobby is the captain of part-time Gainsborough Trinity and juggles full-time work and playing 3 times a week.
Part-time football, it's not glamorous at all. It's early mornings, it's late nights. The amount of times I've got changed in the boot of my car and had to put my training kit on and run into the changing rooms and half dressed because I don't want a fine for being late, trying to get sleep on the way to games when other lads are driving, and then do it all again. You're working Wednesday, back into training Thursday, then you realise you haven't washed your training kit, and it's stuff like that people probably don't see.
Staff have been busy preparing the ground for the visit of Accrington Stanley on Sunday, a team 3 leagues and 55 places above them, and the prospect of an upset has captured the attention of the broadcasters. National TV cameras will descend on Northholm for the first time in the club's history.
We don't fear any opposition going into any game. We've shown we can do it against professional teams before. We know we've got a great mixture of quality, character, and spirit, and hopefully, we can bring it all together on Sunday.
There's no denying it. The money on offer is just astronomical. This can set our club up now for the next 5, 10, 15 years. That'll be in the infrastructure of the stadium, it'll be in our community projects, it will be spread and invested properly around the club.
Despite a week of work, these players will be ready for one of the biggest games of their careers. Tell you what, I can sympathise when he talks about leaving stuff in the car. I mean, I'm going to play 7-a-side, but when you leave a smelly trainer in there or a jumper and you go back the next day,
nice.
Horrendous.
It's a walking boot for me.
People are having their tea,
Sorry.
Thank you.
Apologies.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.
Right, an army of volunteers who've been hauling a 1-ton field gun down the length of the UK have reached the finish line of their monumental challenge, all to support those in the military affected by cancer.
This is the moment the Doncaster charity Military vs Cancer completed their 1,000-mile journey at Land's End in Cornwall. They started in John O'Groats in Scotland in September and have battled through blisters, fatigue and some pretty horrendous weather.
Well, earlier I caught up with the charity CEO, David Bathgate, and I asked him how he was feeling.
I'm really relieved. Yeah, I'm really pleased. You know, I couldn't feel any better about having made that journey. That's an incredible journey. And even down to getting hit by Storm Amy, it was still all a memorable bit. But meeting the different people, the people that are taking part, meeting the people along the way. So, I mean, I set up Military vs Cancer because I've lost eight members of my family to cancer. But not only that, I've lost countless friends to cancer that I've served with. So that's my drive. But, you know, that's the people that have joined us along the way. They've got all their different reasons and not just related to cancer.
Have you any idea how much money you've raised?
We're currently sat around 85,000, so we've still got quite a bit to go. But the money is still coming in. So if anyone would like to support us, we would love to hear from you.
And what will the money actually be used for, David?
Anything that them families need. You know, some people just need transport, accommodation. Some people just need a shoulder to cry on. Memory-making holidays far too often. We've even paid for weddings when time was unfortunately of the essence.
And I know that, well, you'll be absolutely delighted to be at Land's End now, and that there'll be no doubt some form of celebration, I hope.
That celebration is ongoing right now, and I'll be joining it again in about 5 minutes' time. And it may well go on for a few hours or days yet, but we'll wait and see how that one pans out.
Well, you've done a brilliant job, and I know so many people will benefit and be so grateful for what you've done. Congratulations from all of us here at Calendar.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well-deserved celebrations.
Yeah, you can hear them going on in the background there.
Finally tonight, the nights are drawing in and the temperatures have certainly been falling, but the payoff for all of that is those incredible autumn colours.
And Kerry couldn't resist going for a closer look herself. She's been to North Nottinghamshire for the latest Seat with a View and has been treated to a very special Halloween display.
Yes, a very happy Halloween to you all this evening from the shelter of the Glass House here at Clumber Park, where we have had mixed skies throughout today, but I'm surrounded currently by these amazing, gorgeous gourds, plenty of colour, but I've wanted to come to Clumber Park for so long, especially at this time of the year, and today we have been gifted by a kaleidoscope of colour. Here is this week's Seat with a View.
Hey Dean.
Hey Kerry.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for coming along.
This is the place.
Yes, the Roman temple.
Wow. Oh my goodness, look at it.
It's not bad, is it?
That is something spectacular. That is indeed a view.
What a vantage point for head gardener Dean Wood, across the lake to Clumber Park's Greek temple, majestically framed at this time of the year by a palette of autumn colour.
A guilty pleasure of mine is actually coming really early when there's few people around. You know, there's a mist sat on the lake, it's quite atmospheric, the birds are singing. It really does hit you.
This is a big park. There are a lot of seats here. Why this specific one?
I'm probably going to get a little bit poetic here, hopefully, but when you sit back, you've got the columns in the portico, and then you've got the layers of these sort of 300-year-old cedars. Then you drop down, there's a drop down to the lake, which adds another layer, and all the layers, some of them are static, some of them change through the seasons, and I think all that adds up to, I'm not an expert photographer, but I'm sure somebody could point out the science of why that feels so good to look at.
Over almost 4,000 acres, the different hues across the park are a treat for the eyes, with something to see at almost every turn.
I always call it, it's a bit cheesy, but I call it sort of portal to paradise. You come through those gates and you've just got these incredible double lime tree avenues, planted in 1838. These trees are just stunning. I think there's 1,200-1,300 of them. It's really, really special, and you've got a mile of that before you even get into Clumber Park proper. So I think in terms of an introduction, I don't think you can get much better.
Heading into late autumn, the turning of the seasons is clear to see, but so is the stress of an incredibly dry summer.
For example, in the pleasure grounds, we're just replanting some areas of where we've taken out some invasive plants, and we've had to sort of reference those against climate-friendly planting lists that tell us that these plants have got a chance in the next 30, 40, 50, 100 years.
Witnessing this change and nature responding is what makes this time of the year and Dean's spectacular view quite so special.
We've had an incredible year for fruit, and acorns and conkers and sweet chestnuts. They're absolutely everywhere. So I think the trees have kind of done the things, and they're absolutely exhausted, and they're probably putting themselves to bed. Obviously we get to autumn where we are now, and just the broadleaf trees start to turn their colours, and you've just got this incredible palette of earthy hues, and it doesn't matter when you sit here, there's always something to look at and really, really enjoy.
Yes, if that doesn't put you in the mood for autumn, I don't know what will. What an absolutely fantastic day we've had at Clumber Park today. And all of the stuff behind me really putting me in the mood for Halloween. All of the stuff you can see behind me has been grown here on site at Clumber Park and can be viewed throughout the weekend. So, is the weather going to be good this weekend? Here's your forecast.
Today's forecast: seafood and sugar cube towns. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Yes, I'll admit it, the weather has been frighteningly difficult to forecast over the last few days, to say where exactly the sunny spells are going to be and where we're going to get the heaviest of those showers. And today has been no exception. It's been mild and windy, but not a Halloween extreme. Our mildest on record was 20.8 Celsius in 2014 at Bradford, and our windiest was Hyde Bradfield in 1991 with a gust of 72 miles an hour, so nothing that frightening. So over the next few days, we've got low pressure to the north and west of us, feeding in weather fronts, gusty winds at times, but in between some sunny spells, and hopefully the most unsettled conditions going through the weekend will be overnight. So for this evening, for any trick or treaters, still the risk of a heavy and potentially thundery shower, but everything is easing off through the night. It's fairly mild, nothing too chilly, even though it becomes a little drier and clearer as we head towards dawn, and there is sometimes as we head into the weekend. So for Saturday, hopefully many places will be dry and bright, but you can see on the maps a few showers, certainly for North and West Yorkshire. They'll tend to fizzle out, so it's an improving story throughout the day. Not quite as mild as today, around 12 or 13 Celsius, but a gusty start, especially out towards the coast. We get another spell of rain working its way through overnight, but it will clear things again on Sunday. Chilly start, potentially even a frosty start, but probably the better dose of sunshine for the weekend. Then it gets a bit tricky. Ex-Hurricane Melissa will bring stronger winds, milder air, and the risk of some pokey showers into next week. Have a lovely Halloween and a lovely weekend.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Weren't those colours beautiful, Ian?
Absolutely fantastic. Autumn's a great time, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to make the most of it before they all fall off.
Definitely, absolutely. Yeah,
that's it.
That's very true.
That is it for us. I'm back at 10:30. See you later.
Have a great weekend and happy Halloween. Good night.